You're tuned in to RX Radio.
I'm curious as the origin story of Marketwise.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Oh, yes.
God. Yeah. I can start that one off.
Would you please?
Yeah, so I'm sure the fans of the podcast know who we are, but hi, I'm Marcus. I'm sitting like Buddha today. I just didn't like working for other people, and I had enough experience working for other people that I realized either I was going to make it on my own or fail on my own, but I wasn't going to last doing this whole song and dance.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I talked to other people. They weren't a big fan of you either.
They were. God. Am I here to be roasted?
Yes, partially.
All right, good. Keep it up. I can take it.
Okay. So
the origin story behind the business, and I'm sure that the fitness audience probably doesn't quite get it because I can barely understand the business that we're in, but we do work with banks. We're like a business that provides appraisals for big banks, so like billion-dollar companies. We're their vendors. We tell them we're competent. They believe us, and we do our thing. Believe it or not, we are competent.
But how does that start? How does that start as an idea?
Honestly, I grew up in a family of real estate people, so several people in my family have pretty significant 9-figure net worths.
Okay, did the math.
And he was in that business with somebody else as well.
Right, so I was working for somebody else who owned one, and I just grew up on a construction site. I saw real estate development from the ground up at the time I was a little kid, and then found my way. When I was 18 in college, I got my real estate license, and for an uncle of mine, he just said, go out, and this was 2012, so the economy was just garbage, and there was all these foreclosed homes out there, so he's like, blank check, go find them, fix them up, rent them. So I probably, it wasn't a ton, but I probably bought 15 different things for him while I was in college. So basically in college, I was just learning economics just for shits and giggles, and then I was on the side, they weren't my properties, but looking back, I wish they were because it would have been just gangbusters.
But is the passion in because I look at houses and things and I just go I don't care. I don't I can't be passionate about that.
You know what I'm passionate about? I like running a business. I like running a business.
Right, that's it.
If I had grown up around clockmakers and just had my same genetic makeup, I probably would have ended up in the clockmaking business. But
right.
I grew up with the real estate business, and part of that was me. I didn't really know this at the time, but I looked at their lifestyles, and not the cars or the money or anything like that, but they can travel. They don't have to ask a boss for time off. I'm whatever that is, fuck yeah, I'm signing up for that. So, years go by, and I ended up doing that until I was 22, working for an uncle of mine, and I learned a lot from him. He was awesome. And then I ended up going to work for another family member in the same line of business that we're in now, and learned that business, and eventually just went out on my own. And 7 years later, here we are.
When does this guy enter the chat? That's my biggest, because that's a question I don't know the answer to personally.
Parker was a good friend of mine from the gym, so he was bodybuilding back when we were.
Believe it or not.
I know. You wouldn't know it now.
Not anymore.
Also used to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah. Oh, really?
No
Actually,
shit.
the only person
he looks like a bodybuilder.
The only person
still.
in this room who's competed in bodybuilding.
No
Painted
shit.
taint and all.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Did they actually paint your asshole?
They
get
in there.
One of my best friends painted my asshole.
Well, it would have
With
to
a
be,
little
right?
it's like a
Really?
yeah. It's like the little sponge on a stick, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Why? But why?
Just in case they're looking,
Yeah, they don't
It's
always.
the deal.
look
Call
good,
that the
but-
deal breaker. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get much coverage there. You gotta make
Your
sure that.
actual,
But I love how that's the solution. Not
They
giving them more coverage.
he didn't paint down the center line or anything.
That's what I'm asking.
I didn't.
I'm talking your asshole, not the cheeks.
Yeah. He might have gotten the hole,
it's
but it was
close.
pretty. It was close. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's really in depth.
Yeah.
This was your friend?
It would have to be.
Did you stay friends afterward?
He's my best friend to this day. Yeah.
All right.
It was a bonding experience.
It would be, yeah.
Usually people have their girlfriend do it. But
wow, I didn't know that was. I thought that they just took the thing and they're spraying you in the the
they
little.
do that too.
Yeah, that would have been a better way to go about it.
I feel like at that point you just spread the
But
cheeks.
this is
and
also
spray.
hold on,
Yeah.
year and place. I think time and place matter.
Yeah.
First off, Pennsylvania. So that should
Oh,
immediately.
jeez.
Yeah.
Right.
What part
And
of
then
Pennsylvania?
Not Philly.
Yeah, 2 hours north.
Philly or
Oh,
just
okay,
other?
so 2 hours
the middle
north
of
of
nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
The
So
middle of
you were in the
nowhere,
woods.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were
in the
woods.
mountains.
We didn't have spray tans.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
behind on our tanning technology. It's not Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, Miami's been cutting edge. They basically
Yeah.
invented the
Yeah.
sun, I think, Miami.
Yeah,
They invented
absolutely.
everything that's fake.
Do you remember your first time seeing him? Because I remember the first time seeing him.
Oh, he was like a swollen hamster.
Yeah. Dude, I was
Just
so we have pictures.
a balloon.
Come on.
Yeah,
Well, this was
So
not like
great.
prep
Can we
time.
get that picture up here? Too?
Yeah.
I probably have some old ones. So I had I would cut my own hair because I was so hot and sweaty. I mean, you understand.
Hi.
So you get it. So I would go out. I bought a professional clipper. I would just go out in the backyard sweating, and I go on the shortest possible setting.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm good now. I'm set.
What now?
You
When
know?
you first saw this guy, like this is a guy I want to be in business.
No,
with.
this is not. No.
It was nothing like that. It was just like
This guy's a weird guy here.
I was just a maniac. So like when I was 15, I was just like a kid who had no direction. So my dad was going to the gym. He brought me to the gym with him, and then I just
dad
started
went to that gym?
Yeah, he went to
Kidding
Premier.
me?
My dad got in shape like in his 30s or 40s. My dad became a cyclist.
Yeah,
he's like in his 60s. He still rides like 100 plus miles a week on the bike.
I just never see him as
Maniac.
that, but you're right.
You wouldn't know it now. But yeah, at that time, him and I we were just friendly in the gym. But years go by, stay in touch, stay friends, and like as I'm going into this thing, I very quickly learned like I don't know the first thing about building a business. I don't know anything.
What are you doing at the time you meet this gentleman?
I was when I met him, I was just hanging out. I was bodybuilding.
Okay,
so
but how
I had
do
my
you
own
pay your bills?
Oh, I was making money. I had my own little businesses, side hustles, marketing stuff, whatever. And then I actually went and worked for a company, RV company, big RV company. At the time, they had like maybe 5,000 employees at the time. I worked at a local dealership. It's the same structure as like a car dealership, basically. There's sales, there's marketing, there's service department, all the basic stuff. But just everything's more expensive, basically. So I went in as internet marketing, and I was very fortunate to meet a guy there who was kind of my superior at the time, super, super smart, was experimenting with all sorts of advertising in the digital space that a lot of other people weren't in the dealership world. So I got that was my first taste of like understanding digital marketing, which was really cool. I did that for about a year, and then they fired me.
Awesome.
And then, but I was making money consulting and like doing like small like marketing stuff, so it was no big deal. And then I took a year off and just bodybuilded, just ate and like did that. I would wake up at like crazy hours, do my cardio in the morning. I took it very serious and did it for it was about a full year. And I said, I should probably go do something. So I actually called somebody I knew in that same company. I said, I'm going to come back. So I went to a different dealership.
Under an alias? Like,
No.
Hold on, wait a minute. Aren't you that guy from the West Street location?
Well, wait. This story is crazy because I did that like 3 different times. And one time I got fired and tricked the system to move me somewhere else without firing me. But so this one, I went there. It was a higher position, made more money, and I did some cool stuff. And I knew the guy who was my boss prior. He was like, he got elevated to a regional position, a little more importance, whatever. So I helped him. It was a dealership they bought. So I started getting a taste of like what private equity would call a consolidation play or a roll-up play, which means you're a big company, you have a good brand. Now you start buying up mom and pops because they don't really know what they're worth, but there's market share there, whatever. You're doing it. So that's what they started doing at that time. So I got a kind of a good perspective on that there. Started doing really good with marketing, and a guy at another dealership, one of the biggest dealerships in the country in the same company, called me. He heard about me somehow, some marketing campaign I did that was kind of out of the box for that world, called me and wanted me to come to his dealership. He said, hey, what can we do to make this work, whatever. So I essentially, we talked for a bit. I said, okay, if you can give me this number, I'll come next week. I'll be there. So he said yes. So I moved to Atlanta after that. I was in Tallahassee at the time. It was North Florida. And I stayed there for a number of years. I was internet sales manager, moved up to just management positions, learning a bunch of different things. And then there's a lot going on there. But that dealership was doing, probably $80-100 million a year. So I was in management there, which was cool because you got to experience all sorts of things. And I was telling him, one of the coolest things I did there was finagling my way into, if you're middle management there, you see your own department, your own metrics, all that. You don't really get to see everything else or the big picture. I didn't give a shit about that company, that business, any of that. I cared about business in general.
So your passion, like his, wasn't RVs?
No, I don't care. It's irrelevant. I was just like, how do you make this work? Like, how does this work? So I kind of finagled my way in. I was a little schemy, but I finagled my way into getting to become like, the first step was, hey, I'll be the general manager who's like the head honcho of these dealerships on Sundays. That was like the first start of it. And then I worked my way up. I was able to manage stuff. But that gave me access to see like full P&Ls for the entire dealership. I'm like, okay, this is cool. It's like a $100 million a year business. I'm like 21 at the time, or 22 or something like that. So I'm getting like firsthand look, and I'm talking to people I know that are in business outside of this world. I'm like, okay, their payroll is X% of revenue. Why is that not higher? Why is it, they stay below 20%. They're right off this percentage. Their target's like 5%. I'm looking through all these numbers every single day to really, because I'm very, very, very analytical. Everything's a number to me, because numbers don't lie. They tell you, if you dig in far enough, it'll tell you a story, and it doesn't lie. It's not bullshit, as long as the numbers are true. So that was cool for me. But how that ended up for me was we did this RV show. They did like these big shows, like at they did like the Atlanta Motor Speedway, like huge fucking shows. And we did one of these shows, and this regional lady over marketing, just a giant ego on her, crazy. And like something happened where like I didn't do something, but she like yelled at me about like doing it. I was like, I'm already gone. Like, that's it. And then on Monday, this guy at the dealership called me, and I was like, all right, well, he's going to fucking fire me, like, whatever. So I went in, and I tried to get explanation from him after. He's like, oh, we don't have a position for you, man. I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit, because it's a position everyone has at every dealership, so just what's the real thing here? And he was too much of a coward to tell me, but I knew it. So he gave me the paper. I said, no problem, I'll see it. But what he didn't know, the 2 days before that, during the weekend, I met somebody in Knoxville, Tennessee, at another dealership who ran the dealership. And I was like, hey, this is a lady, I can't stand her. Like, just kind of shit-talking people. And he's like, yeah, I can't stand them either. They're all fake, all this stuff. So, but I met him like 2 days before. Never met him in my life before. I called him right after that happened. Said, hey, I said, this is what happened. Here's why. He needed a finance guy for like financing RVs. I said, let me come do it. He's like, done. So what I did was I went to the office manager who I was buddy with. I said, listen, so I just got terminated, but do me a big favor. I'm getting transferred to the dealership. GM already said yes. Can you just hold on to that, and then we'll process transfer paperwork? So it's not fire and rehire. And she's like, I got you. So shout out to her, because she's still with the company at the same location. I'm not going to name her, but she was awesome. So I got up there and did well for her. They fired all the managers. It was just a clusterfuck up there. But by the end of it, I was working like 110-hour weeks, making good money, but like just nuts. And I quit. And I spent some time away from it after that.
My favorite thing is you both started in real estate. You just started in redneck real estate.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Real estate on wheels.
Yours just had, yours was just a double wide.
Yeah.
His was like detached garage, raised ranch shit.
Yeah.
It's like this one can go 60 kilometers an hour. Exactly. It's got great gas mileage on your living room, sir.
Dude, I could tell you some wild stories.
I couldn't imagine that. There's not a hell on earth I would rather be in than in like
there's shit.
Winnebago.
Don't ever buy.
Or
for anyone listening,
I feel like they're big in your part of the world.
Motorhomes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Caravan.
Right. I mean, meth labs, as we call them in Pennsylvania.
Don't buy them. Even the nicest ones on the planet are pieces of shit. They all leak water. We had so many that just leak like a sieve. Water coming in through the slides, and there's all sorts of maintenance issues, and the manufacturing companies don't have good warranties. Like all sorts of issues.
We stayed in one.
Yeah.
The first Airbnb we
that?
ever, so we got together enough change selling fucking ridiculous programs on the internet when we first started Prescript.
Like
and I can find the video. I'll send it to Marshall. It's the first video on my phone. And we did like a podcast tour. And we went down Barbell Shrug. We did Chad Wesley Smith. We interviewed a few people. And we're like, dude, we made it. I remember before we did, I think it was Barbell Shrug. Yeah. We did like 7 in 2 days. And we were asleep at a coffee shop in Carlsbad, like just sleeping like on the floor, essentially. And but the only money we had to pay for the trip was like the only thing we could afford was this RV in the parking lot of some meth den in Venice. No. Still have the video.
I slept on the ground.
No. So he slept in the bed. I slept in the crow's nest above the driver's seat.
Dude,
I still, yeah.
That's a class
That's
seat.
fucking amazing.
That's the one you drive and has a box on the back.
Yeah.
I think I may have had a night. The plan was when the tweakers came in from the back, Jay's got he's a wrestler. He's hand-to-hand combat.
Right.
I got one in the chamber. So it's just going to be I'm going to come in
This is it, baby.
Yeah.
Make it count.
I was thinking
Knife in the
people's
kitchen.
elbow with a steak knife from IKEA. Yeah. So, yeah, that was my one experience in a mobile home. And,
They're
never
not
again.
great. Don't buy them. I don't recommend them to anyone. However, have made a lot of money on their stock. So that's the only
Not
positive.
recently.
Not recently. I've been getting.
Ouch.
So you guys, you're sweating.
Well,
you're
all right,
in
so
the gym.
This is way before.
This is way before.
Yeah,
So we're going to fast forward. So basically, he's running ALH Media, which is his digital marketing agency after the Knoxville stuff goes down. So he's got that going for the next several years. And then fast forward to about 2017 or 2016 is when I was kind of making this decision to move on with my life, go start my own thing. I got an offer down here I was in Tampa at the time. I had left Tallahassee, moved to Tampa for this job opportunity. So before I had even started working in this current industry that we're in, I got hired by this new home builder, this developer, got sent up to Atlanta to go train with these guys, went to this whole song and dance thing. First day on the job, first corporate job I ever had, and the only one I've ever had in my life. Show up, day one, sales manager that hired me, walking right out the door, quit that day.
Sick.
I was his first hire, right? So, of course, they stick me in some garbage subdivision. 2 months later, they let me go. They fire me. Then I go start working for a cousin of mine who has a business in this industry, and that lasted, for about a year, and I learned enough that I just decided to go out and do it on my own. And then I'm slowly, figuring out the sales process, right? Because I've never been involved in a business. I don't know what it's like to run a sales funnel. I don't know what it's like to market to people. I don't know. I had no confidence doing it either. So Parker the whole time, from day one, he's helping me with the website, teaching me how to do internet marketing and do email marketing to people. So it was just a very old school way of selling. And he was the one that was right there with me from day one. So,
well, I have to stop you really quick because prior to this, in 2014, I called him because I was trying to set up a fitness thing because I was just coming off of bodybuilding, because I actually had a little business where while I was bodybuilding, before what it is now, everybody does it now, but back then it was uncommon, like nutrition plans, training plans, that kind of stuff, weekly with people, because I knew a bunch of people from, I gained 100 pounds in, a couple of years and extremely watery.
It's the diet.
Sloshy.
It's
sloshy.
Something's in the water.
So
up there.
normal people would see it and say, well, what do you do? What are you eating? That whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I can make money off these people. So I started selling things.
Yeah, people still do that.
Yeah, of course.
You
Yeah,
can still do that.
I'm not recommending it, but that's how it went down. So I started doing that. But around 2014, I think it was when I was in Knoxville after I quit, I called him and we were just talking about it. I forget exactly how we connected again, but I remember talking to you about it because I was like, oh, Premier, Marcus.
God, there's a story I want to tell so bad.
Yeah, no, don't tell it. I know what you're thinking,
Jesus,
but
I'll
let's
tell you
not. I
for
can't tell
after
it
the
there.
podcast.
Yeah. But anyways, it's a company called Only Option, and what happened, we started doing it. We actually kind of explored it a lot. There's this girl I knew that was a nutritionist we were trying to bring in and offer it as hey, we have a legit nutritionist who can offer you, very good options and all these kind of things. And then at one point we started to explore building out a, what Angie's List is?
Yeah.
So it's Angie's List is
Isn't that one of those things where you go to cheat on your time?
No.
No,
It's like an aggregation of service
database.
providers.
Yeah.
Plumber there, right?
Yeah, you can find a plumber there.
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
plumber, home
Exactly.
inspector,
It's
whatever.
like Yelp, kind of.
Kind of, but it was very specific. So we were trying to build out something like that, but it was very complex. We were trying to bring people in. It just kind of withered away because we had other stuff going on. But that's kind of our first interactions. Because it's funny, I found I was cleaning up some boxes the other day and found these notepads of meetings from 2014 where we're meeting about stuff, next step, all the business stuff. So that was our first interaction in terms of businessy stuff. But sorry.
Yeah, no, that he's the genesis of the story. Is I started he was still doing ALH. I was opening this thing up. He was helping me out from day one. And at the time, Parker was just kind of burnt out on the digital marketing space. You know, you can tell that story
Oh,
better than me.
God,
But
yeah.
he called me one day and he's like, man, like I'm kind of feeling all these different things. I'm burnt out. I'm real tired. And I was like, why don't you just like, have you ever traveled? Like, and I'd been doing that since I was like 18. I'd make it a point. I was telling you guys about the point stuff I do, but you know, I've basically traveled every year, like 2 to 4 weeks, like using points basically to fund the flights back and forth first class. Like, you know, we've always talked about that for years and years and years. And I was like, all right, dude, like we figured out a way. I got him some points and he took a trip to Thailand for like 8 months, was it? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
You were camped out there in Bali.
And it was like, we had the conversation in December, and in January, I was gone. Like, I bought a one-way ticket. I sold a bunch of my shit. I was like, I'm just going to go. Fuck it. And, like, just like a car. I didn't sell my car. I just sat there, like, became a piece of shit, and I sold it later. But, like, just essentially, like, melted into the ground because I didn't, like, it didn't move for a couple of years. But, yeah, a month later, I was in Thailand, which was super cool. And, like, this is, let's see, when, it was 2018, I think. So this is about a year after he started. Because, like, when he was trying to transition over from what he was doing with his family member in the same business, we were talking the whole time about, okay, how's that look and whatever. In the beginning, you know, he wanted me, hey, you want to come do this with me or whatever. I was like, no, I'll just help you get it set up. And I really had no interest. I was making plenty of money, didn't really care. And it was just more like, I always told him, if you remember, like, I was always said, just make income first. Like, let's take care of your basic essentials first. And then maybe down the line we'll talk about it. Because, like, I know from my experience, like, starting from zero, it's like all I care about is just making enough to survive first. And then from there, okay.
Like, that was when Catherine had just moved into a brand new apartment. We're living in Miami. Like, she was studying for the bar. Like, during that first year, it was just like, how, like, this is a great question that a lot of young business owners have to ask themselves. Like, how do you get your first paying client? Like, that's a pretty important thing to figure out how to do. And not every business is the same, because you guys can make an Instagram post. You have 10 people sign up for a course, and, like, I have to cold call or cold email 50 banks to get a meeting.
But I'd be curious to ask, you know, how when you guys first started, was it, you know, a network you had that you pulled on first, friends and family? Was it, because if you have 0 followers, what is it then? For you
it
guys?
was the impetus to starting a business, was the inquiry. We had more customers than we had businesses. Right, like we had a lot of potential customers, and we still see this now, and it's only now at a point where when people come to us with a request of services that we put it through some sort of business. There's like a sieve or a colander, or really it's just our other co-founders who we brought in, who's really smart. We just asked that. We're allowed to
That's a good idea.
For the longest time, we were just pulled by the tide of the people who give us money. Like, hey, do you guys have this? And we're like, yes. Shit. Okay, we got to build.
We got to build.
Exactly. Because we've changed the primary core of the business substantially since we first started, and a lot of it was just basically like we didn't know. Like, I think we knew the market, but we just didn't know what our product market fit was. And I think more importantly, that like what our product market media fit was, because that's something that's evolved over the years too, especially with the podcast. But yeah, we had customers before we had a business.
Yeah, we built credibility in the space, and then we tried to capitalize on that. Yeah. And it was just kind of a journey to see exactly where we fit best.
That's a much better way to do it than the way we
But I think it's also an industry that lends that.
Yeah,
right.
True.
We were just like, we're here, now what?
Yeah.
You know, for us, we have to tell people, you know, because the space that we operate in, like the real estate space and the finance space, the banking space, like
it's competitive.
It's extremely competitive.
Nobody wants to talk to you.
And it's
they
just,
care what you're talking about.
They'll put you off, like where you guys can have a conversation with somebody and they'll sign up for a program in a day. Like our lead time on a prospect that we have, maybe they respond to an email, but by the time we take it from first response to an email to first meeting, that could be 30 to 60 days if we're lucky. And then from there, it could take another 30 to like 180 days to even get to the point where
like significant clients, not small clients.
But do you think that, because there's two things at play, like look at the top end and how many 9-figure, 10-figure, 11-figure, 12-figure businesses are there in your space versus the time it takes to acquire a customer versus, I mean, there's probably no 12-figure fitness businesses. So let's cap it at 9 figures. Like, we can acquire clients much quicker, but at the at the top end, there's really only.
Well, our customers tend to be very sticky. Like,
and
that's why the sales process for us takes so long. You know,
but it's also more lucrative.
Well, it's reoccurring revenue.
Yeah.
So let's say if you had to, if you had to work 6 months in a row to get a client that's going to pay you X amount every month, and unless you fuck it up, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
It's yours to fuck up.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The difference between the two models is like you have people that have interest and desire and maybe even a need for what you do and what you provide. Us, there's a need, but it's usually already being solved one way or another because they have to fulfill it somehow. Unless you can really add in some sort of like, here's the value of using us, which is extremely difficult in that industry because no matter what people tell you, people are companies that are competitors of us. It's all pretty similar.
Yeah.
There are slight flourishes of like, hey, we have better customer service because we use people from the U.S., not India, and we don't outsource it, whatever, right? There's things like that. There's, hey, we have better technology. We can make things faster. We have a better this, that, whatever. So there's value prop, but it's, we usually have to go talk to people, and it's like, hey, is now a good time? And they're saying, no, talk to me in 6 months. Okay, talk to them in 6 months. Now's a good time. Okay, what do you got? You get one shot, usually like a phone call or a Zoom call or something like that, or in person maybe. But most of the ones that work out for us is it's like I got to see this guy, in a semi-social setting. I got to see him in a meeting somewhere several times. Like there's a guy I've been talking. I won't name the bank, but their assets are around $10 billion, and I've talked to this guy who runs. He's the exact guy we need to talk to for what 2.5 years now. 2.5 years of like, and one time he said yes, we did a proposal, we did that, and then faded away. And then last year, I saw him in Tampa, I went and visited him, had lunch with him. Like just 2.5 years of talking to this guy. Yeah. And like if we can get it over the finish line, it's good.
I guess the hard part is like the comparing lifetime values, right? Like a lifetime value of a customer who has like a 10-figure bottom line is like, and because you're B2B, right?
Yeah.
Like we're predominantly, we're B2C, but and most of our customers are businesses, but like, they're aspiring personal trainers with emerging fitness businesses, but they might have 5 clients, they might have 20 clients, and some we have like big fish, obviously, that are doing $250,000 a year.
Well, I can tell you the difference. It's yours. Other than I'm sure there's a lot of other values, but like the actual buyer, it's an emotional purchase. Ours is not. Yeah. Ours is all.
They're completely apathetic.
They don't care.
Yeah, like for us, a lot of what. And a lot of my role in the company is not just running the product side of what we do, but Parker and I both do this. I find myself with some of the customers playing the relationship role. So like the big thing is like if they're in this monolithic organization that moves like a fucking like very slowly. Molasses is the word I was looking for.
Snail would have also
right. Snail pace, right?
Yes.
When they have problems, the number one thing that our customers are looking for is like how quickly can they solve our problems, right? Because all we can do, our value prop is we're small. And you would think that that's a bad thing, but the way that we sell, I run, like 50% of sales calls with one of our biz dev guys, and I tell everybody straight up, if you're looking for the biggest in the country, we're not it. We do not compete on that. I'm not going to try and sell you on that. I'm not going to tell you that we're this or that. But what I can tell you is that our service is going to be unmatched. And if you have a problem, I'm going to be there to solve it. Here's my cell phone number.
Right.
And you would be surprised.
It makes a difference. Huge difference.
I wanted to buy it. I don't even know what he's telling me. I want it. Yeah. I don't even like houses.
In a world that moves so slow.
10x everything.
Shut the fuck up. If you can solve problems with speed, and dude, what you were just saying a minute ago really resonated with me because this is what we've been doing for the last year now is we've been much more focused on how do we innovate, how do we add products, how do we add different verticals to our business, and it's like how many times somebody's come to us and was like, hey, can you service an environmental phase 1 report?
Yes.
And in my head, I'm thinking, what the fuck is that?
No. We say yes, and then we.
And then to them on the phone, I'm like, absolutely, we got you.
Yeah. ChatGPT, real quick. Hold on.
But usually, like a lot, honestly, he did a lot of product development in the last 6 months, really. And there's some things that we knew of and we just hadn't really paid attention to. And it might not be a big money maker for us. It's just the availability. And in our business, it's usually okay. So it's an appraisal management company, is what it is technically. So other appraisal management companies usually offer appraisal services, maybe some reviews, a couple other side products, but not. That's pretty much it. Now we're getting into other inspections and all these other environmental studies, all these other things that we can do and fulfill, with qualified people and all that. and it will give us a competitive advantage because now not only do we have better customer service and all these other value prop things, now we can say, yes, we offer a wider range of products.
Because they don't have to, because for us, it's like, I don't want them to click the button for the other guy. Whenever, like, quote unquote, click the button is Marketwise. Like, when we need this thing solved, you know, the credit manager so we work with a bank that, I can't say who it is, but they're a subsidiary of second largest bank in South America by assets, right? I had, the point of contact there, like, they had some crazy thing that they needed to solve. Like, for us, it's an appraisal on like 20 properties. They called us on it the other day.
That was like Friday, I think.
Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, of course we got you. Like, you know, and it's like, for them, it's just like solving this puzzle piece because for them, the stakes aren't like us earning a little fee on an appraisal.
They don't care.
For them, it's like,
how many millions of dollars
this is
that thing?
$30 million loan.
Yeah.
So for us, like, our ability to execute on a high level consistently, there's 7 figures, 8 figures on the line if we do this thing, and if we fuck it up, it's like, who's next on the chopping block?
Can you tell when he hangs up the phone that he's just going to be like, fuck, okay, everyone stop, grab the janitor. There's a homeless guy jerking off downstairs. We need everyone on deck.
Not again.
I see him all the time. Tess saw him like a few weeks ago.
The jerker offer?
Yeah, he was
real.
jerking off on the way to Target.
Really?
There was a guy sitting outside of our office just laying there, and he had a blanket over him, and I'm like, I walked by, and I could see him, I couldn't see anything, but I could see he was jerking off. And I'm like,
but I sent you the video.
Yeah, you sent me the video, and I went down.
Yeah,
and
I was like a scientist. I had like my inspector glass on, and I'm just like, did you look at this fucking guy?
Yo, Sherlock. I don't think it took much.
Right, but like I took a video of him. Like, you could just see it.
I got so angry,
and I called him down. I'm like, yo, dude, you gotta come down here. See, this is insane. This is outside of our fucking office.
And he was about to go. I was like, just stay here so there's a witness. So
who was about to go?
I was going.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, he was going upstairs. He was going upstairs. He was like, whatever.
I was talking with the homeless guy.
No.
Well, Parker just went out to confront him. I'm like, I got to stay and watch this.
Yeah, I was like, just stay as a witness just in case. So I was like, hey, get the fuck out of here. You can't just get the fuck out of here. And he was like, what, man? You're jerking off. Get the fuck out of here.
This guy was like, and we had him dead to rights on camera. Like, I was like,
there's camera right there, dude. Like,
and he's just like, you know what his way out was? He pulls the blanket down, and like his pants are back up at the moment.
Yeah, we know how this works.
I'm not jerking off here. It's just like, I know what you're
not anymore. Yeah.
You clearly finished.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was a disturbing day.
But how many times do you find yourself like, because Mac and I talk about this all the time, it's just like problem solving quickly. That's really what provide what service is.
Well, that's what business is.
But it's do you remember early days, like opportunities like that where, you know, shit would not necessarily catch on fire, but like a big opportunity would cross your desk that you might be understaffed or underserviced for, and you're lying through your teeth. We do it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, like we never like blatant. Like if we really knew it, like we couldn't. If you said, "Hey, can you paint this house?" Like we're not going to be like, "Yeah,
right."
You can't do that. Yeah. But like, there are times in the early days where we would, somebody would ask for something, or like, "Oh yeah, definitely." Like, especially in a new area that we weren't in yet, we're trying to get there. We maybe thought about it, but we just aren't prepared for it. And then he and I would get on the phones to call people and try to figure it out and just work through it. Like,
did you notice, like, has there been a change in reaction to that? Like, because I know your business, like, when you acquire clients, we talk about it. I have no idea what you're talking about, but we talk, and
you're very happy. You're always excited.
I'm very interested. I was like, do we get meats or a bathhouse after this? Like, yes. Well, okay, that's a good day.
A steak.
But it's like, has your reaction to that, okay, time to go, changed?
Well, I don't feel as much of a panic anymore because, like, we've built it up to the point where, like, we're decently stable. And, we have a decent floor underneath us. So now when somebody's contacting us and they're like, if it's an ask we can't say yes to, I'm like, no, but here's the plan for that. And, like, either they say yes or no, right? Like, I'm not begging anybody at this point. But at least my mentality when it comes to all of this is, like, if they're asking us to do something, like we had a pretty significant at-bat recently that we were pretty locked in to get, and somebody just undercut us on price, which is – it's annoying, but also out of our control because, like, I hate the race to the bottom. I'm not, like, a big fan of that, but it is what it is, right? So that one, like, you can't control that. But a lot of the times if you build up enough of a relationship and you're like, they like you, they're just going to keep using you. And they're just going to keep asking you to do things. Like, some of our clients, they'll like, ask us to write reports. They'll ask us to do, like, fulfill these random things because they value that relationship, because they're like, oh shit, I have to solve this problem, I'm calling Marcus. And that's just what it turns into, right? Because every one of those problems to be solved turns into not only relationship building, trust building, but for us it's a way to make money. So if we just said no to stuff, we're like, oh well, that's not in our core product offering. Well, it's like, well, fuck off. Like, you're just going to die as a business. That's not going to make any sense for you.
And as the business matures for everybody, we find that if we're winging something, usually we'll pull that thread and it becomes something that's like, oh, it's a new product that we really should look into, or that gives us an idea to improve X, Y, Z. And now it becomes, the professional thing, which is an actual business process later on. But that's like the seed where it starts. It's like, oh, shit, yeah, we could do that. And then we figure it out. And then, over the next weeks or months, we figure out actually how to do it. And we're like, okay, here's the process. Next time this happens, boom. And that's how you kind of...
Yeah, because you want somebody to receive, at least for us, like I want them to receive a standardized, for us it'd be like a bunch of PDFs basically, right? Like we're getting people to do reporting, right? It's an appraisal report or like an inspection or something. So like if we can standardize and make the package that this thing gets delivered in virtually look good, and it's consistent and it's systematized and like it's well done every time, to me that's the highest goal, because once you solve that problem, that's when you can scale.
Yeah,
right.
You can repeat it.
Right. As long as my team knows what to do every time one of these things comes up, I don't have to sit there and babysit every time. Like my job is to help problem solve a lot of it, and so is Parker's. Like that's what we do as a business. But like as far as the product goes, like I'm pretty heavily involved in that. But as long as my team knows, like we get this problem that comes in, these are the 5 steps that we need to take to solve it and to get them fulfilled. Like our clients are going to keep coming back to us, and they're going to keep respecting what we do, and we're going to keep building more trust. And that's just, for us, it's like my ultimate goal is to build a relationship-based business, because that's going to be profitable long term, and that's how we scale. The more that we can keep up those relationships, show face, prove to people that we're like legitimate, credible professionals. A lot of like what you guys do in person, putting out information, building content. Because when they call you and they're like, hey, well, like, can we just talk to you about this thing? And then like if we're subject matter experts, just like you are, you guys both are, right? Like you earn people's trust, and they might not pay you today, and like that dollar might not come in today. But I'm a really firm believer that like if you sacrifice the short term, like I need to make a quick buck off this thing, but if you build up that relationship over 5 years, what happens when that opportunity comes knocking? Because they're like, oh, I'm going to go to
top of mind.
So whatever, whoever it is.
Like we've done this before for people that we've been trying to get for years and whatever. And I remember one guy, I won't name the company, he's not even with the company anymore, but I talked to him for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, different times I would see him or whatever. And I would say, hey, listen, we'd love a shot, obviously, but just so you know, like if you ever have any problems with an appraisal, just email me. I'll have, our chief appraiser or whatever look at it and give you our thoughts and let you know, like, hey, it's out of whack. This is an issue, that's an issue. You should tell your company that you're using, competitor of ours, to go back and do this. So, like, put it back in their court, because that's part of our job too. But, like, that potential client might not realize they have that capability. So just saying that, now later if something comes up, they're more likely. Like he did that a couple times where he'd email me and say, hey, wait, this seems off to me. What do you think? Now we're the experts, even though they have a company that's doing it for them. So that's a huge piece of it too, like just building up that credibility internally.
Do you find yourself as you guys go on becoming, I don't say less inclined, but like, well, let's go with less inclined to be like scrappy like that?
No. Even
Okay.
more so.
Yeah.
No, because I'm trying to push that even more, because like for us,
it works. So why
it works. Like if I talk to a $5 billion credit union, and I'm the one, right? Like if I'm the one that they're seeing, and I can answer every one of their questions, like like okay, this guy knows his shit, and I'm like, here's my cell phone. Nobody else is going to do that. I guarantee you, not a single other like owner of a company is going to get on a sales call with their business development guy and tell that person at that bank or that credit union, like, here's all the answers that you're looking for. Here's what we do. White glove, the whole thing. Like, I have a whole sales pitch that I go through with people, and I'm super calm about it, super level-headed. I don't get all worked up anymore, because in the early days, every one of them was like life and death, because I was just trying to pay my bills. And now it's like, here's what we do. You want it? Here's my number. I'll be part of this experience for you guys, and I'm going to be on call if you need anything. I got my work phone. Like, usually just on the weekends leave that bitch at home, but I'm not carrying it around with me. But the point is, like, going above and beyond, I think people get real complacent when they start making enough money and they think, oh, well, I don't need to be involved in the day-to-day. I don't need to be the one making the video.
And like the scrappiness
Is there a dollar figure where you think that won't be the case anymore?
No.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that's important.
I don't think so. Because, I mean, then
the scrappiness needs to – here's the difference. The scrappiness will be less us and more a culture thing that we teach, teams to be scrappy. And here's the benefit why. Because, as an example, talking about credibility you were talking about a minute ago, is in the beginning in 2018, he's talking to me. I'm in Thailand having a beer and talking to him about trying to sell – there's a client we had for a few years – that he's going to meet. He met with the guy. And he talked to him. We're talking about sales process, and we're just trying to pitch them, but we really we didn't have much business at the time, whatever. Now, fast forward now, we can say we've appraised over $15 billion worth of real estate. Okay, that's something. That's enough to give you at least in the door. You're not just some guy who started the company yesterday. And you're like, oh, I'm a company. So you have the sales pitches is a little different, but the access is what they care about. Especially if you're talking to somebody at a bank, they're regulated, there's specific things they can and cannot do, and they're looking for access. In our business, yes, it's all about the quality and the speed and all the basics, right? There's a baseline that we want to exceed,
talk to somebody.
But they want to have access for sure.
They want to have a call.
If there's a problem.
Yeah, they want to be able to talk about it with somebody and that person to be honest with them. Because if somebody calls me and says, is this thing fucked up? And I look at it and I say, yeah, this is fucked up. They just want to know if that's the case because, we deal with such a niche. It's if I talk to you, you said to me Terry's minor today. I'm what the fuck Terry's minor is today? I'm like, whatever Jordan tells me, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to do pull-ups for the next 6 weeks and fix my whatever the fuck he just told me is in my shoulder. Yeah. I don't know if it's
some alien muscle
it's
thing.
A fucking sandworm in my shoulder or something. But you're the expert. I tell this to everybody. I'm like, you know what? I go to Jordan. If he tells me something, I don't understand it, but he'll tell me what to do. And then I just do the thing, and usually it just resolves itself.
You are single-handedly responsible for the conversation on the internet that I overcomplicate things.
Because I'm an idiot. Of course it's overcomplicated to me.
But everyone who kind of should know about this listens to you or goes,
why would they listen to me? I don't know anything.
You're the bigger and stronger. That's how our industry works.
I'm an idiot. That's why I don't tell people.
Right?
How much you weigh?
Right. What do you bench? What do you squat? What do you deadlift? 400 kilo, man, says guy with head tattoo is really complicated.
Right, but that's because I listen to you and I listen to Seb and you guys, you're the smart people, right? I'm not the one telling me do a 400 kilo squat on this competition. I'm like, no, there's a smarter person saying, okay, well, you know what? You're good for that. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'm going to do it. And if it kills me, then whatever.
Such a bone to pick. Because it's obviously the market.
You think I'm the one that
you're single-handedly. The number of memes and clips that have gone around. Yes, you on hybrid. You're responsible. Because that's not a bad thing.
But that's because I'm an idiot.
But look, I just think people don't respect
if it helps,
how
I can
complicated
attest to that.
Yeah.
Because it's markets. I don't understand markets.
Nobody does.
Bulls and bears.
Nobody does.
But it's almost like the human body, though, right? People pretend to understand what about the human body, and I'm like, look, it's complicated, and people are like, nah. But with markets, at least you get the idea of
charts and graphs.
Yeah, everyone. We don't have.
I just want them to go up.
Yeah.
Green.
And when you explain things to me, of course it's complicated because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and I try to explain to people who should know, and they still think
But for them it shouldn't be, and they should be listening to you. I tell everybody, just go ask him.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Just
go I don't got shit
Here's
to
the
do.
cell number.
Here's the cell number. This is where he lives.
Never do that.
Stop by.
I know. If somebody's asking me about exercise stuff, I'm like, all right, well, you want to go talk to somebody smart, you want to get fixed up, I'm like, go find Jordan. Don't ask me about that. That's why it's complicated.
Now he has a business process to deal with that inflow. Right?
No, I don't.
Oh, come on, man.
Well, see, this is my thing.
Is this the bone to pick, by the way?
No,
I think you got to stop there.
Fine. So that's my thing is I want to become scrappier. But scrappiness as an organization kind of run antithetical to one another. Whereas he's organized. He's the numbers guy. And I'm let's blow it all up. And let's just try and make sure it's all by the seat of his pants. And then the other two are can we not? Can you shut the fuck up real quick?
Well, the beauty of the ability to be scrappy, if you can nail being scrappy with, couple it with a really good process, it's fucking awesome. Because it works.
I'm scrappy. Me, real good process.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Although one of the things, and to this day I'll never forget when we first were we got the Shopify shit done. I had a conversation with an intern that's working with us over at HOA the other day about how we started all this. And I always tell the story about when we were like, oh shit, like should we basically put the store live online? And he's like, let's just fucking start figuring out these mistakes now. And I was the one sitting back going like, fuck. And he's just like, here, move, turn both keys, went nuclear on it. I was like, I guess it's done now.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah.
You figure it out on the fly.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to go wrong until it goes
But
wrong.
I think the scary part when you get to a certain scale of business is the consequences of getting wrong. But if you get reps of being scrappy, you get really good at it.
Well, because then you can fix it on the fly.
Well, and you're minimizing risk too. You're not doing. It's not the same level of risk in the beginning as it is now. The risk in the beginning is like, fuck it. Like if it doesn't work, fuck it. Who cares? I'll go, whatever. But now it's like, okay, well, fuck it. This will affect this piece of business or whatever. It's not like the whole thing's going to explode. You're not going to rewrite everything you've done.
I've approached that a few times and thought, hey, what if we did pottery instead or something like. And that's the thing. It's like
musclepottery.com.
I don't. It's out there. The domain name probably costs like fucking $1,700.
Well, I'm probably going to buy it after this.
I'm surprised
back
you
to you
don't have
in
it
like 2
already.
years.
But like my
Did that
thing
with
is,
Camping World too.
I need like the perception of the risk because that has been a thing that has validated my decision making process in the past. And so now
every time though, 100%.
Well, no. Honestly, we're doing pretty good.
With every risk you take, is there a significant return where it makes sense? And is that every single time?
You're not making blind choices.
Yeah, it's not. You're not. I mean, you're underselling what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah,
you're not just making.
But my thing is like I don't chase like a number.
You don't have to chase a number.
Well, the tax man would disagree strongly, and he and our other business partner Matt would also disagree, and thank God they do.
Yeah.
But it's like that sieve of decision making where it filters through all of us. Like and I like having three business partners because I'm curious about the two business partner dynamic because we had that in the beginning and then we went to 4 and then for like 2 days we were back to 2 and then we hugged a lot and then we were like legally 3 again. And I like having like this 3-pronged approach.
Dynamic,
yeah, because there is like in certain scenarios like Matt, you and Matt can be alike or me and you can be alike. Like, subject matter shit. Obviously, me and him are the deciding
it's more
factor.
Like democratic, like feeling.
Yeah, and it's not like we have to push
instances.
things to a vote. It's like everyone can come up with like a pragmatic voice to their opinion, and if someone has a blind spot, the other person is there.
It's great, and I tell you, like that's one thing that like we do pretty well. But I'll tell you, great. You guys know who Mitt Romney is?
I'm familiar with the gentleman.
Okay.
Don't know him personally.
Right. So, anyways, there's a documentary years and years when he ran for president that was done. Pretty good documentary. But the only interesting part I got out, he worked for Bain Capital. Bain Capital is a huge venture, private equity, big asset manager. So billions of dollars. Anywho, the only thing I got out of that documentary, they were talking about his political run and all that bullshit. The only interesting piece I got out of that was him talking about boardroom meetings and when he would run them, if somebody proposed a new idea and everyone agreed with it, they would scrap it. Because he said, I want somebody to play devil's advocate and give me why this won't work. Act like it. Give me the worst case scenario. But he said, even if I brought something to the table and said, we should do this because of these reasons, and everyone's like, yeah, great idea, yeah, he would say, fuck it.
Yeah.
Because
is that how we do it? I feel like we're all wired.
We all play different sides of the coin every time we have a decision. Matt will look at it one way. You'll look at it another way, and then I'll kind of look at it my own way also.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all do a good job of playing both sides. Is what's the positive, what's the negative here? What are the things that we can see that are going to go wrong? What are the things that we can't even predict that are going to go wrong?
AKA the thing that Matt could see.
Yeah, the thing that Matt
seeing
fixes.
around corners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jack Welch named it that in many of his books that he wrote. He's CEO of GE for 2 decades or 3 decades maybe, and just made that company great.
But mind you, isn't this the same guy who used to fire the bottom 20%?
Yeah. Well, bottom 10%.
10%.
So top 20, you want to incentivize and appreciate your top 20%. Your middle 70, or is that right? Middle 70, is that right? Yeah.
Yes,
70%.
yes.
Your math is going
I'm going
well.
You're
doing well.
Here's
You're
your
well.
quant
Past
over
my
here.
bedtime. So the middle 70%, you want to incentivize them to become the top 20% because top 20% will always produce 80% of your results.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, generally. The middle 70, you want them to aspire to be the top 20% because top 20% will not always be top 20. So you need to make these people move up, get those people back, and the bottom 10 are just time suckers. Get them the fuck out of there.
Interesting.
You're actually, and how he described it, I love the way he described it, was you're actually doing them a disservice if you don't tell them they suck.
Yeah.
You know, so that means, like, imagine you have a guy who's 55 years old. He's working in your business, and he's bottom 10%. You say, hey, sorry, Charlie, you got to go, right? And he's going to be shocked because he's 55 years old, and no one did him paid him the respect by saying, you suck at this, you should find something else you should do early on, and he would go do that and be much better in position. So that was his theory behind it, which I to some extent agree with.
I feel like early on, and you're probably still like this, like a lot of the stuff that he would come to me with, Jordan, would be rhetoric based of like, hey, I read a thing in the Harvard business thing. And I would sit there and go, what the fuck is that? Like, because I don't, like, I never, to this day, I'm not like, I mean, subject matter expert is so crucial to what we do,
right?
In like the trajectory of the decisions we make. That's like my only competency in the business is like knowing that's, but like we know the fucking same shit.
Yeah.
Do you find like, what was the dynamic between like bringing in some principles-based business approach versus knowing the product? Because I feel like he would probably be subject matter expert.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, hey, that's great. But I've managed P&L and seen P&Ls of my bigger companies.
Is huge.
Because like, are you looking into that? Like, do you still look into that kind of stuff? Like, are you still? You're like
P&Ls and things like that.
Well, you like obviously. I hope. Yeah, you're manager.
No, like
but like, are you talking more into like business? Because you always like. I remember you. I didn't know what the Harvard Business Review was. I'm like, wait, you went to Harvard? What are you talking about? I thought you went to chiropractic college.
I know so little about business, admittedly, that it's something I constantly want to learn about because we run a fucking business. So it's something that I kind of lean into that sort of stuff, and any sort of ancillary learning I'll do. It's not subject matter that we're teaching. It's about business. So the business can run more efficiently and more fluidly.
And I was probably grateful. Like that too a lot, and I still do it. I mean, I should see how many books I have at home. like. Because I'm an idiot, number one. And number two, I dropped out of high school. I have no education on paper. On paper, I should be in the street somewhere doing nothing.
Jerking off.
Yeah, I should be that guy, for sure.
It's a lucrative field.
He seemed pretty happy, I'll be honest. So, anyhow, maybe he's got it figured out. So
it's not complicated. Marcus will show you.
OnlyFans is big down here. Huh?
Yeah. I'll make zero money on that. All right. So I was for sure an idiot, but I was since I was a kid. I mean, I made money when I was in third grade selling stuff. I always loved business in general, and I was always just fascinated. So I'd always read books. I'd always look into things. I'm a big, like, super curious about stuff, and I'm really resourceful. So I'll dig into some topic, or I'll hear somebody. I still watch interviews of people that will be like an hour long on some whatever. They're like Ken Griffin as an example. He has a huge fund. He's a big investor, whatever. He had an interview recently. I watched it. It was interesting just to hear his take on it, hear how he thinks about things. That's interesting to me. And he might mention some term that I've never heard. I'm like, oh, what's that? And I'll go Google and research and find a book that somebody wrote just about that thing, and I'll go read that whole book. That's how I've learned, because I was a terrible student. I hated school in general. So I just didn't have the patience for it. But now, ever since I was a child, it's like, okay, let me just focus on stuff I like learning about.
And just go. Dumb I am. For the last 47 seconds, I thought you were talking about Ken Griffey.
No,
Ken Griffey Jr. I was like, what is
this is the richer.
No,
this is
the
much
much richer.
Yeah,
he bought like everything, most expensive piece of real estate, residential real estate. It's like, Ken bought $250 million penthouse.
Steal second. These are the real.
I imagine 0% of the time.
Are you similar to that in that way?
He's much smarter than me, so I'll give him that.
I mean, I did some pretty in-depth work. Like when I was in college, I learned how to research and write.
But like day-to-day ops now.
What's the question?
Like he's going on. I'm going to use the word savant. But not the A word. Right. Okay. There's a hat we have. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when he hears something and it triggers his brain and he kind of chases on this, gnaws on this thing for a little bit. Like, are you that? Or
I'm there to an extent. I mean, I think I'm very in the day-to-day stuff. I'm solving very practical problems that come up. So I'm trying to figure out not only dealing with the emotional side of this thing, because there's a lot of emotion involved in such large sums of money for people. So my answers and my way to deal with things can change the course of somebody's life, for lack of a better way of saying it. Like there's a couple steps removed between my decisions and my ability to solve problems, and that being the consequence. But it is a very real consequence of what we do, because think about it. Like, there's such a huge emotional attachment to somebody being in a home, right? And we're partially responsible for the mechanics of the process that do that. Yeah, so to some extent, I mean, I'm trying to be as emotionally level throughout the day as possible, just for my own sanity, because I don't do well with emotional upheavals and emotional chaos. Just it'll fuck with my ability to concentrate and focus. Like, too much stress and anxiety will hinder me from performing well, but it's undeniably a part of the job. So I have to learn how to cope with that, and the way I do it is just trying to be as pragmatic. You were asking about the dynamic that we have as business partners, and a lot of times I'll get ahead of myself, or I'll just think oh fuck, this is a fucking disaster waiting to happen. This is a huge problem, and then it's we'll have a conversation, and it's all right, well, now we have a practical way to deal with this, and I'm probably not right about jumping to a conclusion, which is usually the case 99% of the time. And the dynamic just seems to function pretty well that way. Whenever we have issues between us, we talk, we sit and all right, we're having a fucking problem. We're not going to have some fucking fight about this. Let's just go talk about the thing, and we just solve the thing. And it's just been that way forever. And
well,
it's
when we first started, so when we started talking more while I was in Thailand, and I came back, that's the reason I came back. I wasn't coming back. I was just going to hang out.
I'm in Thailand
because I was in Tokyo.
Now.
I had clients in Tokyo, whatever. So in Malaysia, all sorts of stuff. And I was just hanging out and, helping him more and more. Every day I started helping him more and more, reaching out to people, whatever. And then we kind of worked out, okay, well, let's figure out. And by the way, we didn't have a partnership agreement until 2020. It was just a handshake, no specifics, no nothing. We said, let's go. I'll help, whatever, I'm coming back. And then because I believed in the idea of the business and I believed in our relationship enough. And if you recall, one of my, when we finally sat down, I was okay, let's get a real piece of paper to make this legal.
Wait, hold on. Rocketlawyer.com?
No, we paid a
no,
lawyer.
we paid a lawyer.
Really?
I think is that how we started?
No.
Actually, ChatGPT.
Right, a partnership.
No, but
agreement.
when we did that, one of the I don't know if you recall, but one of the things I mentioned is really the only thing I give a shit about was the moment I stop having fun, I'll just give you this back and I'll go somewhere else. I don't care.
I do.
Well, I mean, I care because if what I meant by that was if our relationship suffers because of the business, it's not worth it to me. So we've been the only reason I think I've had some partnerships, little partnerships, but not as in depth every day as this one. And I can tell you from my perspective, I appreciate our partnership more than any of the other ones I've had because of the ability. What he says, every time we have a disagreement, big or small or whatever, we we'll address it.
Has been very few.
Very few, but whenever we do, we address it that day. And by the end of it might be 20 minutes, it might be 2 hours, whatever. Until we fix it, we hug, boom, next day, fine.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Never been an issue.
Never an issue, which is awesome. And that's, I feel that's pretty rare in business in general.
Yeah.
But I told him, as long as we're having fun and it's a good time,
And even through some of the shitty months and our industry's been going through a pretty significant upheaval the past 6 months, and it puts you to the test. That's to say the least. We've had some challenging shit that's just out of our control going on, but it's still every day. It's hey, look at this. I made Homer that looks like a realistic version of himself. Where it's here's Godzilla painting. We'll just send shit to each other all day just to keep we don't want to sit and talk and think about business all day long. Yeah. We do it enough, right? There's something to be said for having a deep level of trust and respect.
Yeah, a friendship dynamic too. If you can make it work, it's awesome.
Because but I think this is the exception to the rule and not the rule itself.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I don't think that happens very much. I've seen the opposite probably more often than I've seen
I
this.
couldn't imagine not being being in business with someone who's not a friend. It'd be tantamount to being in business in a field that I don't care about.
Well, I think it's probably healthier for the business, actually.
Yeah.
Because every time I'm not saying it's negative to have a friend, but I think if you were to be clinical and cold about decision making related to the business without taking into account this and that with friends and whatever, the business is better on paper. The numbers of the business will be better. But
I would argue that
fringe.
I would argue that depends on how much of your business is about the numbers to begin with. right? Like I mean, you guys have run like you will talk about the importance. You're the potentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, more the analytical number side, right? Numbers don't lie, blah blah blah. Yeah. But it's like I need to get on the phone and talk to people and basically be like, you can call me. Apparently not on weekends because your fucking phone's somewhere at home or something. Sorry, Jim from Sun Life Financial or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I'm out with Luke.
Right. So it's like there's kind of like the double-edged sword where I think because what we sell, it's intellectual property. It's I don't know, what do we sell?
I think our business was born out of passion.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the difference. That's why it works to have a friendship type relationship or that dynamic in making decisions about the business. Right? Versus like getting on a call with our accountant is like talking to a typewriter.
Oh my God. Dude, any of our assholes that charge by the hour. I can't. Matt, Schiff, if you're out there, dog, I love you, but stop sending me invoices. Oh, you know what? New rule for our legal team and accounting team? Tweets only. 140 characters or less. I don't want to be on these fucking hour and a half phone calls.
Like, send me one text. If you can't fit it in a text, don't send it.
Listen, my observation of not necessarily this, but a lot of what you've done, because I've known you for so many years now, and it's like you razz me for saying like I can't understand you, but the point is like you're the smartest person I know in this field, and that's translated into a passion that's clearly built a business around it.
But I just think the product we sell isn't tangible numbers, right? Like what we're selling something really intangible.
I can make a counterpoint to that.
You can know everything. Yeah, like you've seen all our.
Okay, if I were to buy your business, it would be less valuable. Like if I were to write a check with a real valuation, if you were just to run off that versus like, okay, let's think about our profit margins and our
right. But the only reason we make a profit at all is because I think me and him are homies. Like at the core root of it, and you know what? I will double down because we've had two dust ups in our entire relationship. One lasted about 7 seconds where I feared for my life. I remember we were training and we never even released the video because I was a fucking loser. And I was just like, I was like, yo, let's turn the camera on, like not even thinking. And the guy that we were with, Jay waited respectfully for the guy to go to the bathroom and walked up to me and was fucking nose to nose me. He was like, you talk to me like that again, I'm going to fucking kick your ass. And he can do it too. And I was just like, okay, there's a line. We found the line. We didn't know it was there. Now you know. I'm going to go take a shit, or maybe I already have. Yeah. And then we had like a corporate buyout, which was like the craziest. And motherfucker hops on a plane from California, and we basically did the thing that he did before, was like, yo, but we did it for like 2.5 days straight. And it was once we were done crying, we're like, we good?
Good.
Yeah, we're good. But I think, if I'm saying like the profit to calculate a margin on, if I had to tie a proxy to it, it's how well we work together.
Yeah,
that's definitely an element for sure. I'm not discounting that. I'm just meaning from a numbers perspective.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but I'm going to double back to just the difference in the product, right? Like
that for sure. Product, definitely.
What do we sell? Hope.
Hope is a big part of it.
I think it's part. We're not educators. We're not. I will die on this hill. Fuck you.
You're the smartest person I've ever met.
But it's because I do shit. I am not an educator. Will never be in my bio. I think that's fucking dumb. Camera, hit me. Which one am I on? That one? I'm not an educator. I do shit and I talk about it. Educator in link in bio, Instagram, that's not me. I'm not it. But right? All I do is tell stories.
I know what you're saying, but like you're not.
Yeah. I get
the discounting your intelligence.
I don't care. All of it comes from just doing things. Right,
but like, you have a theoretical understanding of the stuff that you do that you can't.
But the only way I understand it in my brain, like we were eating sushi earlier, and this is like how retarded my brain is. And Tess she sent it back, and there was like this like fuzz in it, but like nothing concerning. It wasn't like a hair.
Oh,
or maybe
fuzz,
but it's like
sushi fuzz.
But I was literally like in my brain, I was just like, and I was with a friend of mine, I was with Watson. And I was like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you used to go to when you're a kid playing hockey, you used to do fundraisers at bingo halls. I don't know if anyone else has done this.
Bingo.
And I'm like, it reminds me of like when I used to do fundraisers at bingo halls, and when the ladies used to have the trolls that just were there for good luck.
Oh God.
So I'm 7 minutes into the story, and it was about fuzz. That's what I do for a job. That's my job right there, is to take something that has to do with something completely unrelated and tell a story that's really long about something.
That's how education's done, man. By stories.
I just don't like the education.
You don't have to call yourself that. I'm going to continue to call you the smartest person I know.
training.
When it comes to anything to do with the body,
right?
That's
okay,
you.
But that's not. It's not hard. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You.
Back to our point.
You it isn't.
Because what we sell, someone might listen to this and be like, "Wow, I want to listen to this guy talk about working out." Where someone might listen to you guys rant about or go on a rant about troll fuzz and sushi and be like. I don't want to buy anything off of this guy. Right?
The people we're selling to probably would not want to listen to that. That's not the case.
No, they don't. They just want to hear how fast we do it.
I think a lot of what you guys do and why you're so successful is, I'm going to say it forever, is because you're extremely intelligent in your discipline. But you build relationships. You tell stories. There's a bond that you might not know, but it's there. They trust you. It's like all you're doing is building trust in people. So when you go tell them how to do a fucking bicep curl, they're just going to listen to you.
But
that's why I listen to you.
Thank you.
You're
welcome. They trust you guys are the numbers? They have to trust the numbers, right?
Well,
or trust that you're not fucking the numbers.
You have to do both. So if you're talking about when we're selling to our clients for that business, it's a little both. You have to because they're still humans.
Okay,
you're
so like
on the it's a sales process question.
I'd love to be able to like have a control to like dress you up like Danny DeVito and Matilda, and
I can still sell them.
See, that's crazy to me.
But that's different, though. So they're talking about like 10 different things at once, but like there's sales skills, sales process, there's product you're offering, there's the pitch you're giving, there's the timing of it, who you're talking to, what the personality, all these things come together to match to what you're trying to do, and hopefully it works. It's not like everyone you're talking to wants to do a bicep curl.
Right. Like,
let's say all bicep curls are good, and here's how you do it.
There's you dressed the way you are now, and then we have just iterations of you with more and more Cuban link chains on. And then how many Cuban links does it take for someone to be like, I don't give a fuck about this number?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, I think if you put 1 on, you're done. You're not going to a bank.
Yeah, you're not going to
kick your ass out.
You're not going to bank. You need to dress decent. Like they're professional. They're bankers,
and that's one of the major differences.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional.
Yeah. Can you just for which camera?
Hold on. Are we doing that? There you go. Yeah. See, good luck walking into J.P. Morgan.
Yeah. Exactly. Say, listen,
sir, the homeless shelter is just down the street.
Yeah.
The soup kitchen there is great.
Security will be here.
Yeah. Is J.P. here, please? Can I speak to J.P.?
I would like $1 million, please.
Yeah.
His name is J.D. now. I don't know if you know this.
J.D.
He's the boss.
Yeah,
Mr. Diamond.
Mr. Diamond. Yeah.
Wait, actually, that's his name.
Jamie Diamond. Yeah.
That's
Jamie Diamond.
That's
the CEO of JP Morgan.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Chase.
So he basically controls the world.
Well, just that big.
Interesting.
Well.
Okay. Yeah, but like that's a big difference, right? The thing is, this dumb thing on my head will, in some ways, be good for business. I'm not. I don't want to say I'm confident in that, but someone will look at that and be like, "Hey, I really like working out, but I don't want to do it with like a clipboard. I think the old school way of doing it is dumb." That guy.
He's not wearing a button-up shirt.
Right, the polo with the Under Armour on one side, the leg. I went to like this logo shop locally, and it's embroidered.
Wow.
Do you see it? It's
$30.
Do you want to feel it?
No, I'm good.
Fucking nerds.
Ooh, what's the
and
thread
it's like,
count?
right?
Ooh,
And like, look at my Under Armour pin. They stretch when I squat. Here, I'll do a squat.
Yeah.
And they hold their hand. Any cunt that holds their
they
hands
like
out
this,
when they
right?
squat, or like hands on their hips when they lunge.
Oh no.
Long socks, New Balance, the whole nine.
Yeah,
It's like that's what I need to project. Where it's like,
but that's more of a marketing thing to me.
It's also
It's
I happen to like
persona. Yeah, it's
but
you.
that works.
It's you. You're authentic. That's perfect. But it's also marketing.
Okay, so you're still seeing it as like a business thing, but
Everything's
it's
a business
not.
thing to me, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Would you look like this whether you were in this profession or not?
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's just by the grace of God this profession exists.
Well, it's because you created it.
Well, no, I didn't create it. Like I would say Charles Paul.
Fuck off.
I didn't create anything.
What you're doing. You're telling me that you guys aren't one of the pioneers of that?
I don't think so. I look at Paul.
Come on.
I mean,
to some extent.
Come on, man.
Nice.
Your modesty is the buck stops right here.
no,
I've known you long enough.
Because I know I got the idea from Paulaquin.
Okay, but
it's a model that existed in person. It never existed on the internet.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
Dude,
that can't be true.
We grew up without the internet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is a brand new kind of category of this type of education.
You know what it is?
Think about it. You have right. So what is a product that you could sell to anybody? I mean, you're basically just solving a problem, right? So everybody's problem in this space that you guys solve, tell me if I'm wrong here, is a lack of education.
practical application.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't. You're not
information.
teaching people how to do a bicep curl in the dark. You're teaching them how to practically brace under a 600-pound squat so they can be more effective at what they do, and then teach people that are under them how to be more effective at what they do. Because like the shit that you guys teach, it's not like they're going to go take a test on it. There's going to be somebody in a weight room somewhere that their $30 million contract's on the line, and they better know how to execute.
Yeah.
Who else is teaching them that? I can tell you for a fact, based on how much I know you, that most of the people in your profession are not.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're the first ones to do it outside of an academic institution, right? Like, I think there's, like, good master's levels programs that might, they might still be too beholden to a structure that forces.
People don't want to listen to a fucking guy in a suit.
Yeah.
Right.
They want to listen to you.
Yeah, no, I know.
You have tattoos on your hands, and you've squatted 700 pounds.
Well, and like
you know
those
what
people,
it's like.
they're all, they tattoos. They're being athletes or all that stuff. They're not looking for the guy that's like 62 years old.
No, they see him. They're like, there's trust
My
built
homie.
into that.
That's
He's
it.
got a fucking
Academic
wolf on his head.
settings are slow, right? The information's behind by the time they deliver it.
Yeah.
We're small enough and we're kind of under our own validity.
Scrappy, would
that
you
we
say?
can. We're scrappy enough that we can just kind of evolve and put out the most relevant information right now that we believe to be true.
And
You've both figured it out by doing it. I mean,
Right.
you guys are
Yeah,
both under a barbell discipline here, and it's like, who knows better how to teach somebody how to bench press 500 pounds than the guy who's done it himself and has like an academic and educational background.
Qualified.
Yeah. But I think I think it's the act more than the art, right? Like, I think the reason I hate to even use the word successful is that, and I think the meta lesson to learn is like, look, just do, because I think people from the second they start a business, they tend towards organization. Where I think the second we started a business, we've tended, and in some ways this is the opposite, but I want to lean into entropy. I think of that every day. Like, how can I just be on the leading edge, the tip of that wave to create more chaos to organize? Because I think people start with like this thing and they're like, oh my God, there's so much. Do we do an S Corp or an LLC? It's like, I don't know. I don't do whatever you want. Like, but I think people immediately go to that, oh, I need to come up with like a process of doing like social media posts. And like they become overwhelmed with the basics.
Just do the thing.
Right, but it's like find the red line every single day. Today was supposed to be so relaxing. I kind of promised her. And then by the time we're driving back from lunch with my friend in Hollandale, we're both like, oh man, it's been a fucking day. And it was noon on a Saturday where I originally had nothing to do.
That is
that's
every day of my life.
But that's every day in business. And I think
people,
people get into business and they get scared that they don't know business. And I still get scared all the time. But it's like they try to organize. I try to destroy it. Not destroy it in like a catastrophic way, but I just think of like, do we have, if I had infinite resources, what would be top of mind? Right? And there are times where like we have to, because we have a third business partner, Matt, who's an incredibly vital piece of this whole organization, where there's times where we kind of have to talk and be like, we should table this. Like, we should table this for a few weeks because Matt has a lot on his plate. Yeah. He handles a lot of like the digital ops, which takes more than just like yelling it into existence, which I try to do. Yeah. So, but like that to me, I think like if there's a takeaway from people who get into business, and people love to say they own businesses, and it's like, whatever.
I'm the CEO.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Right.
So many people right now. So we have a few companies that we started in the last year, and we've brought in people to run them basically. And like a few of them, we've brought in people that are very green to running businesses. And there was, maybe a handful of them. So, and I'm running point on that. So I'm talking to them every single day. And it's fascinating to me because as you guys, I'm sure, and I know Marcus has for sure, once you start a business, it's your first one, you go through all sorts of mental hurdles and gymnastics because it's like, this day fucking sucks, this one's good, this one's shit, I fucked this up, I got sued, I got this. Like, it's just always just like this all the time. And you have to just roll with the punches and kind of not, and we've talked about that a lot with like sales process as he was developing his skills there, is like you just kind of have to be even keel. Like, highs and lows mean nothing. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. What you're describing is, I'm talking to these people, and it's top of mind for me because I've talked to them so much recently, where it's like, well, I was going to do this. Like, one of them, I won't name who it is, but he's very detail-oriented, super, like, granular. And it's like, I told him, hey, I want you to build out X process. Talk to me on Wednesday about it. And he said, the process is probably, 15 steps. He got to number 2 and super deep. Like, all right, well, I got to this point. I really understand it. So I went deep, 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 deep. I don't give a shit. Just write out the process because I don't have time to write it. Write the process and I'll help you fill in the rest. That's easy. So, he gets stuck on something. I said, that doesn't matter. Think high level first and then we'll build the rest out. And then other ones are, what do we do next? I'm like, okay, if it's a business from zero, it's not like a job where your boss is saying, do this, do that, do this. It's like you just have to think and like, to your point, it's like, what moves the needle? What actually fucking matters? And I would argue, there's probably a few different ways. For your business, it's probably product first and then sales. For me and any other simple business, it's sales. It's clients. Revenue is the lifeblood. You have to make sure your product's good and your service is good and all that stuff. But if you understand basically how to provide if it's a service business, if you know how to do it well enough, you should have some experience, obviously. Go sell. Go talk to people. Go call 1,000 people on the phone and all of them say, go fuck off. Who are you?
Do you have because me, yes, I still think we're that. Like, we're still sales driven, but I just use different proxies based off of success that we've had. And a proxy now is like a feeling, not redlining for like burning out, but like.
I don't believe in burnout.
Yeah, I'm the same. But like, how crazy can it be? Like when someone goes, hey, I know you plan on Singapore, but can we do Bangkok instead? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Let's do that right now. Because if someone was like,
but if you're chasing something like that, that's fine. That is a means to an end as well, right? Like,
but it's just a proxy to the because I don't understand. Like I couldn't. I'm sure if I sat down and looked at numbers and had enough dedication and Adderall, I could sit there and be like, okay, I get it. But I've just been able to find.
But it might
proxies.
take away something from what you're doing.
Maybe,
too,
yeah. And I have no interest in doing meth anymore. Yeah. But it's like I think people should find proxies that are, closely tied to the objective outcomes that they want, that are something that they can feel, right? Like that's my thing with business. Is like the way I look at it is I know when we do something, it's relative success within a certain margin for error.
Right. And if it flops, right?
But I just know because sometimes I do it and I'm like, oh, this feels like it's going to suck. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to go there. Like, why would anyone else want to go there? Yeah. It's not like, our key demographic seems to be located within this, kilometer
radius. I think
radius.
that's the first filter you run it through first is like your gut.
Yeah.
Because the longer you're in business and the longer you're in an industry, especially, your intuition is a big part of it.
But I think you have to calibrate it. And I think that's something that we've done really well is we calibrate our gut against the data. But people start to go data first to indicate their gut. It's like, you'll never fucking do that.
Those people don't have any business sense.
But I just don't think that I think they have business sense, but they're not entropic in nature. Like I want entropy. I want chaos. I want everyone to just be like, God, because the first time I released the level 1, I did it. It was September 17th, 2016, 17. Mm-hmm. I was on like a pseudo vacation for the first time in a while, and I just put it up. I used to dude, man, our old CTO, he fucking hates me now, but he used to really hate me before. And I used to fuck around on the website and make products. And I made the level 1, which is one of the cornerstones to our business now. And I put it up and consulted 0 people about it because I was in a Hawaii time zone and everyone else was asleep. Yeah. And by the time our COO had woken up, she was like, what the fuck is it? And I'd made some dumb mistakes on the website because I'm not a website person. But that shit. Give me that. And honestly, it's probably classical conditioning that thank God that fucking worked. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, I just do this now.
It works.
Yeah. I would have just made, now it's.
Well, it's their jobs to just contain that to what's actually productive.
I don't know. I feel he's right there with me though. I feel like you're on the edge.
Are you somewhere in the middle?
Okay. I think since
you're more chaotic than I am. Yeah. But I can see this and I understand it. And I understand that that's where you work best from. I'm like, all right, now what the fuck am I going to do with this?
I feel like since we've had Matt come in, that you could come hey, yo, let's do this. Come on.
All right, we got Matt as the anchor here.
Matt's the anchor.
I'm gonna do some chaotic shit over here.
Yeah.
As long as he can just wrangle you a little bit, just stay out of this area.
But
and go
Matt,
that way,
one thing Matt does well that we've had business partners in the past that doesn't do well, and it's something that, and a test can attest to this. Is Matt, and not once in the times that we've worked together, and Matt was sort of proxy to being part of our buyout and all this shit. He is not, and I haven't heard him say the word no.
Yeah.
When I wild out on some shit,
like that. He'll say yes, and then he'll figure it out.
And that was the number one thing with our.
That's cool though.
Partners.
It's a good match.
Yeah, but I just if there's a takeaway than this, other than 4 rambling friends, it would be you want to find that, like, I try and push to a level of discomfort every day that I can tolerate. And I know I'm tolerating it because I haven't jumped. And then it's like, all right, we're another victory today of being super like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. Like, I want to get the speed wobbles in my brain about, dude, getting, like, just managing shit.
There is a point to be made for this. And, like, I surrounded my whole life, ever since I was little, everybody in my family was in business for themselves. Like, I was just having breakfast with my cousin this morning, and his business runs all of the nation's biggest food and wine festivals, art events, like, food and bev, experiential marketing, and like the dude's life is just chaos. But like I've never met a single business owner that's actually been successful where they're doing the shit that you see these fucking dorks on Instagram doing, where they put the reels up and they're on a jet and they've got a Rolls Royce and they got some fucking neat conference room table and there's a chart showing a perfectly linear graph.
Profit.
And it's just like you want my bone to pick? It's that shit on the internet, painting a false picture of the reality of being in business for yourself and, like, thinking that you can go pay some fucking asshole on the internet $1,000 to join his mentorship, and he's going to teach you what it takes. Because I hate to break it to you guys, but it's not up here. Part of it is all that shit is from the gut. It's in your heart. Yeah. You're either born with this. Like, I just knew I couldn't work for people. It was just not going to happen, right? Like, I didn't know what that meant. I still don't know what that means. We're figuring it out day to day. But there's so much of this that can't be taught. So, like, what you're saying is going out there and just creating chaos. It's like, it's just like a wellspring. Yeah. Like, you have this energy from within. It's like, I'm going to be the fucking best version of this thing that I'm creating today and work on putting the pieces back together, whatever that means. But it's not the stuff that these charlatans are selling you on the internet.
Come to my seminar. That's fucking $5,000.
Dude, I just vehemently don't believe in it.
I just don't think if you have time for any of those behaviors that you're really invested in your business. Yeah.
Well, right? If you seek that out, you probably don't have that.
They don't have a business either, by the way.
Drive
and that's fine. That is
your own business.
Totally fine. But there's this thing on the internet now where people are proclaiming themselves to be CEOs.
What's your revenue last year? Let me hear that.
Well, it's like, where's your board of directors? Did they appoint you CEO? Because that's how that works. You get hired by a board of directors, and it's a public corporation usually. And if it's not, then whatever. But, like, you can't just call yourself a CEO because you're an online fitness coach. I'm sorry, but that's
overlapping business structures, though.
I'm sorry, but that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. A guy with businesses. It's cool to be called that,
right?
Too.
You're just like, I just own a thing.
See, like the CEO thing is like such an ego.
You probably wouldn't want to be a CEO because you know what their lives are? Like,
also,
they work 16 hours a day. And they're on jets every week, and they probably don't see their family.
But the thing is, like, it's the people who call themselves CEOs that don't work 16 hours a day.
No, they're working maybe 1 hour a day. They just started a business. Maybe they figured out some weird scam they're running, and they're making some money or whatever.
I just hate,
not a real business.
I mean, well, the idea that, like, and I don't know if Tim Ferriss is to blame for this, but, like, the idea that the 4-hour work week is something that you should strive for, right? Like, I think there's merit in, and, like, you know, I see people push back. Like, I wake up early sometimes, and sometimes I'm on Instagram early, and sometimes I'm not, and I'm not. So, but, like, people are like, oh, you don't have to, like, wake up early. It's like, well, I don't know. If you're smart, you don't. But if you're fucking retarded and you want to make some money and it takes you 16 hours to do what a smart person might do in 8, well, guess what? I'll see you at 4:30 in the morning, you stupid bitch.
Well, I think the huge problem is people measure themselves versus what they see, especially like what he's saying with the Instagram and all the social media bullshit. People measure themselves based on what they're seeing, and these people that are just, all they're doing, by the way, people, which camera is it? That camera? This one? That one? What they're doing is just selling you bullshit so they make more money. If they're selling you an ebook about how to make money, they need the money from,
you're the product.
From the ebook.
Yeah. Like the whole Hustlers University thing.
Don't buy it.
Shout out Andrew Tate. Okay. Good luck being in prison.
Look, I got a bone to pick with Tony Robbins, all those fucking guys.
But, like, the whole thing about being if you need to go to university to be a hustler, like, I'm sorry, but you don't have what it takes.
Not it.
Right. Like, that's fine. Go get a job.
Yeah.
It's cool. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you work for a hospital or you own your own business, because that doesn't make you a good person. Being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, being a quote-unquote hustler, driving a Lamborghini, none of that stuff makes you a good person. And I have enough wealthy friends at this point where I can pick and choose and see, okay, or, over the years, various levels of wealth, right? But, I can pretty much tell, money has nothing to do with it. Your character as a human being has a lot to do with it.
And if you don't process stress well,
yeah.
You don't go into business for yourself.
Because you're not going to have a day where you can just go home and shut your brain off at 5:30 p.m. and have a drink, because you know what? Your baby's still there and it's crying. It's in the background. Not you, Banksy.
Well, my thing is at the end of the day, what's gonna make it worth it? Me, if it was hard and it was risky, then it was worth it.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
That's a personal question. What's your answer?
What do you mean? That's what makes it worth it to me. That it was hard and it was risky.
Is that your why?
I don't need a why.
You might not, but there's a reason you did this.
Well, that's the same as you. I fucking hate everyone.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah,
but that's a real simple fucking
mine
answer.
started with I'm not good with authority.
Yeah,
right.
Well, but that's still. But even further to our
even
actual
now,
core,
somebody tries to tell me. I'm
but our core product is my not respecting contemporaries in my industry.
Right,
that's how much.
That's mine.
Right.
It's not a sexy sell on the internet.
But I just think
that's where
regardless
everybody's
of
broadcasting this.
Yeah, success to me is something that's worth it. And the only way it's worth it is if it was risky. If you I don't know, if you cross the street and there's no cars around, is it worth it? It's what if you crossed a wooden bridge across a river that was 100 feet in the air?
The view is worth it.
Yeah. But that's to me,
So
it's
you're
what are
saying
you
the
doing?
journey is for you? It's still the journey, or is it the adrenaline of taking the risk within the journey?
It's having the balls to do it.
So are you proving it to yourself or somebody else?
No. I had a chip on my shoulder, 100%.
Right, that's fine.
Since the jump,
I totally
fuck
get
everyone.
that. I think all of us have that.
Yeah.
Well,
all of us have that.
To me,
people-
what makes us all similar is we all value authenticity, and the expression of authenticity has enough intrinsic value in and of itself that whatever you're doing, as long as you're being you and you're being authentic, then it's fucking worth it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you make some money along the way.
Right.
I think that's what we try and propagate. Because there was early days where a lot of the stuff we taught was cultishly parroted.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Where now it's I could think of 50 of probably our most successful trainers that have taken our courses that have gone 50 different directions. Pitching coordinator for the New York Mets.
Yeah. Rogers
Is a fucking homie of ours, came through and still to this day shouts us out. He does that. Pro sports, the highest fucking level. The most $300, $400 million assets. This guy fucks with us. To a personal, Mike Grelich, to Dunkel, to they all had to fucking
Jordan Coe,
to Crazy 8.
Yeah, dude. Oh, DJ.
He's takes trips every 2 weeks to Spain and makes these ridiculous videos and trains in a studio that he owns in Brooklyn, where it's that's what we try to sell is that, and that's why I don't think I'm an educator. Look, man, do the craziest shit, and I'm trying to. Tess doesn't swear, God bless her heart, but it's coming. I just want everyone to tell everyone to go fuck themselves, because that's what I did. That's honestly what I did. I almost didn't graduate Cairo school because I told the wrong person to go fuck themselves, and then I got kind of sued by the
my
school.
wife almost got kicked out of law school for that.
Yeah, sick. Do that.
Just not a fan.
Grade school, I almost got kicked out because I told Callie DeCold's mom to go fuck herself in the 7th grade. In undergraduate, I told Carrie Braniff to go fuck herself in front of our program coordinator. And in grad school, I told, what was her name? Rainey Cook. Dr. Rainey Cook. I told her to go fuck herself. And then when I got out in business, I was like, what do I do? I was like, what have you always done? Hey, everyone. Me over here.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? You think this? Go fuck yourself.
You can go fuck right off.
But it's that, all right, hey, and this is where we get so much of our ethos from. It's, you got to be ready because it's coming.
That statement doesn't exist in a vacuum. Not in this world.
No, but and I know that because I've been
echoes.
hey, you over there, yeah, by the bar, yeah, go fuck yourself. But you know what to do next.
Yeah.
You know that you got to go.
I'd be careful about saying that to the bar. He might have a bone to pick with you about that.
Right, but my thing is that's like you need to understand that that's coming, and most people like aren't prepared for that. I saw this video. I don't know any of our hockey fans. Marshall, you might remember this. Jordan Tutu, he's this like Canadian player, played on the Detroit Red Wings, and he took a cheap shot on someone on the Nashville Predators, sent him into the boards like head first. It was like a dangerous distance, and it was a time in hockey where it was like a lot of that shit was happening. And dude, before he even had his hands off the players, he sent him into the boards. His gloves were off. Yeah, because he knew when he turned around, there was 4 dudes ready to fucking that level of like, I'm gonna do it, and I don't give a fuck what. That's to me. That's when I think about business. It's whatever that is. It's like, okay, we got to be ready to fucking throw hands or whatever that looks like. We're not fighting people, right? But like, we need to be on the leading edge of like.
People disagreeing.
That's not even that. Like just saying something with conviction. And I think there's a difference between conviction and courage that gets lost. People like you're not running out of U-boats in Normandy. Fuck courage. Business takes zero courage, but it takes some conviction. Right? Like I'm willing to take what I say to the fucking mat. And I will if you want to argue mechanics or whatever. To a point where I'll physically fight you, I will do that. Yeah. Are you willing?
The world's most violent educator.
Commitment is the number one thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I've talked, like since I've become a business person in my life, I've talked to hundreds, probably more than that, of people that want to be entrepreneurs, are entrepreneurs, whatever. And like the people that aren't successful, just are like, I've talked to people that are like, actually last year, I won't name who they are, but there's some people I tried to bring into one of the businesses, and everything I would see on their personal social media was like, it's like fucking memes of them like slamming the computer shut. It's Friday. I'm like, fucking, like they're not committed.
Get the fuck out of here.
Like dude. That, I get livid like thinking that. I'm like, are you shitting me? Like that's a perfect way to ruin a business right there.
Do they have any videos of them getting out of bed? Nothing tells me you're not going to be successful. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Should you have been working? It's just, what could you have got? How many emails could I send in the time it took you to set up your tripod?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Let's not get started on tripods.
It's ridiculous.
That shit needs to be eviscerated.
I know. But like the commitment level for sure. And even people that have some sort of service business or something small, even if it's like, hey, I have an Etsy store, right? That's cool. Make your money, do your thing. But if like that's not a big money business. But if you're not getting up and treating it like a fucking job every day, and on the weekends or whenever you need to do it, and like messaging your clients and trying to whatever. If you're not doing that, you're just going to fail. You're going to get a job in about a year when you run out of money or whatever it is, 2 weeks.
You'll be working at Wendy's.
Become a landscaper.
Yeah.
I think that's because people that are done hearing it from me and Jay. But like, hey, here's here's proof of other successful people in other industries that are just like, because I don't know if this is true, but in our industry, it seems like a very easy sell on like this business mentoring. You said mentorship stuff. Does that exist? But does that exist in your world?
No. Yeah.
On the real estate side for sure.
Really? Are you
kidding
me?
Of people.
Everybody wants to learn how to get rich doing real estate. And you want to know the truth? Easy. I'm looking at you. Internet, if you take somebody's course on how to become a successful real estate investor, you're a cock. Don't fucking do that. You want to know how to make money in real estate? You need to have about this much cash saved up.
Save your money.
And you need to hold on to that thing. We're talking commitment. Here's how you make money in real estate. You buy something, and for the next 30 years, it's going to make you money.
Don't sell it.
Right.
That's how
it's
you make
that
money.
easy. You don't need to go pay Grant Cardone to teach you how to 10x your money because it doesn't exist.
Don't pay him, by the way.
Yeah. He has a helicopter, right? Like for marketing purposes.
I wrote it off.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
See,
you know how
everybody
in my family made business doing real estate? They bought it and they never sold it.
The key.
It's
Write
that
that second
simple.
part down.
Yeah,
Second part.
second
Got
part.
that? Second
Don't
part down.
sell.
Here's how to be a real estate investor. You need to save up a lot of money, or you need somebody to give you a lot of money. And then once you have that, then you go buy things that make you money, and then you don't sell them. And that's the whole fucking business. I could just save you the entire pro forma analysis bullshit that people are doing to these young impressionable people on the internet, how they can become rich doing Airbnb arbitrage.
Yeah, how's that doing now?
You're not going to do that. Like you might for a short period of time, you might fool some people, but from my perspective, like it's just fake. It's bullshit.
I think people need to find that bottom of like, okay, I'm now ready to tell everyone to fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, it's like they need to figure out what the fuck they hate doing, and then just be like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
First commitment is like, I just figure out how to do it yourself, or figure out a way just to make your basic income or whatever it is that you're trying to fulfill without other people if you really dislike people. Now, I've told him this story. One of the first times I realized, I was working at that corporation, Camping World, and one of the times it resonated. I was like, oh, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I had all these ideas and all these processes. I'm like trying to do this, whatever. I went into this guy, about 450 pounds, sitting behind a desk all day. And I had this it was some small thing. It was nothing crazy. I was like middle manager there, whatever. But he obviously didn't respect anyone. And I had this process change. I'm like, oh, we should make this change. I'm going to go in and tell this guy who was like the main boss there, whatever. Walked in. I talked to him. He's like typing on his computer, whatever, ordering food probably. Who knows? And I walk in this way, stand next to the desk, and say, hey, I want to tell you this thing real quick. I have this idea. I forget what it is. He's like, uh-huh. Didn't even look at me. I remember it. I'm like, oh, well, we should do this, because of these reasons. It's going to make this better, whatever it was. And then he stopped his typing, turned to me, and he said, why the fuck would we do that? We've been doing it this way for 25 years. And I said, oh, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And that like just stuck with me forever. And then plus a bunch of other like political things within a big company, all these other bullshit things.
He said something once about training clients, and it was completely out of context of business. But he goes, I think a lot of people make the mistake of assuming people want to get better.
Yeah.
And that's something that it's really hard to like peel back the layer to that level of being like, oh, there's people out there that are fine with that.
Dude, let me tell you, I learned a great lesson when I was very young. Actually, the first location I worked at, my dad had a business when he was younger. And he didn't know shit about business when he used to open up his business. He had 3 kids and a wife, and just like tough business. But I respect his opinion a lot. So I remember one time, it was like the first corporate job I had ever had, and it was something, I forget how exactly happened, but essentially it was like 501, right? The doors just shut, employees can go. And there was like something that needed to be done, very small, like, hey, go lock this door, some piece of trash, something very minor. And I was like, I saw an interaction between like a sales guy and a sales manager, and it was something to the effect of like, that's not my job. It's 501. I'm fucking getting out of here. Like that. And I was like, my first experience ever of seeing something like that. So I called my dad like right after. I was like, can you believe this asshole? Like, he's like, I'll never forget it. He said, just because you care about something doesn't mean other people will too. I said, fuck. Like, that's a great point because, yeah, you're right. Maybe I have that level of care, and that's what I want for other people in our businesses, but doesn't mean they're going to have it. So, like, whenever we go try to hire people, it's like character, then train skill. Character, then train skill. Yeah. Number one. Always see what they're about first. Do they give a shit? That's the entry level. That's all you got to do. Give a shit enough to go a little above and beyond. I'm not asking you to stay till midnight and asking you all that stuff, but just little things add up because that's what we're offering to our customers and all that. Yeah. So like that, and then we could train you to do anything else. No problem. But it was super good lesson for me when I was young. I was like, oh shit, that's a good point. I give a shit. They don't. That's why I'm going to win, and they're going to lose. They're going to be doing that job until they're 75. Bye.
All right, we're wrapping on that. Marketwise podcast.
Marketwise Conversations. Yeah, we just launched it, so we're getting some guests going. We've had 3 episodes out so far, but you guys know where to find me on the internet.
Much excited. He's back on the internet now. He did a little Groundhog Day thing.
Saw
a shadow. Went
away
away for 6 months. And be sure to DM slide him with all your annoying real estate questions.
Marcus
Leoni. What's
is this
your
payback?
Yes.
Parker D. Little.
Parker D.
Yeah,
Little.
It used to be incognito.
Wait, can I do it?
Red, white, and
Can
Jordan.
I do the thing?
Can you do it? Yeah,
What's the
do whatever the fuck you want.
Whatever we're doing here, we're done.